Hello everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining us again this week. We are going to look at, well, we're going to start with Lift Up Your Heads tonight. So if you want to sort of work your way towards page 127 or 116 in the Prout score. So hearing from people that I wasn't letting you, giving you enough time to find your place, I did two things. First of all, I got the Prout score with me, so I can refer to that as well as the Novello, and I will give you lots of heads up to find the places in the music. Now, I knew that because people gave us feedback, which was what we want to hear from you. So please, if you haven't already, please do join our Facebook group. There's a link to that in the information below, and continue the conversation between workshops. And if you want to be a part of the chat during the workshops, you do need to subscribe to our channel. So you'll have to set up a YouTube account so that you can subscribe to our channel. And that is free to do that. So please do join that and join the chat. Other things I want to tell you about, we are core singers and players are doing 3 concerts in December, if you didn't already know that. You can find information about these concerts on our website, and 2 of those concerts, actually let's talk about one of the concerts, the one in the middle, which is on December the 16th on Beethoven's birthday in this his 250th anniversary year. That concert's going to be coming from Blackheath Halls, and that's going to be live streamed. So that concert there won't be an audience for, because we simply couldn't find a venue that we could get the choir and orchestra into and still have enough room to fit an audience in. So we're live streaming that concert without an audience. But our other 2 concerts on December the 11th and December the 21st are coming from St. John Smith Square, and hopefully being in Tier 2 here in London, we will continue to be that way, and other people who are presently in Tier 3, poor Bristol, will, hopefully, things will be relaxed a little bit and you can join us. But we will be able to have an audience for those concerts. So if you go, you can find the information on our website, or go to St. John Smith Square website for information on those 2 concerts. And if you can't join us in person for those concerts, we will be live streaming those as well. So the information on the live streaming will be available on St. John's very shortly. And I'm very, very excited to tell you that as of yesterday, thanks to Angela Merkel closing down all performances in Germany till Christmas, we have benefited slightly from this, although that's probably too much Schadenfreude, in that I'm able to announce that our 2 soloists for our concert on the 21st of December are the wonderful Roderick Williams and Mary Bevan will be joining us for that concert. So please do come out and join us. It'd be lovely to see some of you in person rather than in this virtual situation. I think that's all my announcements. So before we look at Lift Up Your Heads, let me introduce you again to the wonderful singers that are around me. Again, we've got Emma Walshe is our soprano. Stand up and give them a wave. I don't think they can see you there. Excellent. We've got Martha McLorinan as our mezzo-soprano. Jermey Budd, tenor.
Hi.
Jonathan Brown, bass.
Hello.
And on piano tonight, we have William Vann. So welcome, William, joining us for his first Messiah with us tonight. Not his first Messiah, but the first Messiah with us here. Okay, and now Emma, I think, is going to lead us in a little bit of a warm-up, if you wouldn't mind, Emma. Yeah, lovely.
Hi everyone, so it's great to be back again this week singing this lovely music with you. I thought we'd start off with a bit of a physical warm-up, so just some shoulder rolls forwards first, 3 forwards, and then 3 big shoulder rolls backwards. Then we're going to give ourselves a good shake out, shake our arms out, shake our knees out, make sure your knees are not locked, make sure your hips aren't locked. Even if you're sitting down, doesn't matter whether you're sitting or standing, just make sure you're not holding any tension anywhere. Just check your posture and your alignment, make sure that you're sitting or standing nice and tall, and that spine is in a nice straight line with your head just balanced on the top. So we're going to do some warm-ups just to focus on some of the issues that can come up for singers. So we're going to look at supporting the breath, we're going to look at jaw tension and tongue tension. So first we're going to do a bit of work on tongue tension. So we're going to do an exercise just sticking your tongue out and giving it a little move around to try and release any tension you've got at the back of your tongue. So I'd like you to stick your tongue out and then put it up, down, left, right, and then round circles one way and the other way. Now you're in the privacy of your own home, so you don't need to worry about looking silly. Unfortunately, we do not have that. So tongue out, up, down, side to side, around in 3 circles one way, and then the other way. Looks ridiculous, but it does help, I promise. If you want to do it and not look so ridiculous, you can just run your tongue around your teeth. And you can do that actually during any rehearsal if you want to just check, make sure that you're not holding tension in the back of your tongue. So now we're going to move on to the jaw. You just relax your jaw. Don't try and push it down, just a drop. Give it a little wiggle. And just get your hands in there. Give it a good massage. Just work out any tension in those jaw muscles. And then we're going to do a chew. So close your mouth and do a chew. Pretend chew. Like you're working on a tough steak. And then do a siren while we're doing that. So great. So hopefully tongue and jaw are feeling a little bit more relaxed. We're going to work on the breath now. Always start simple with your exercises. Remind yourself of the basics. So you want to maintain a steady flow of air and you want to make sure you're engaging your low support. So if you put your thumb in your belly button, put your hand below, and then you can just have a feel of what's going on. You should be feeling a steady inwards and upwards motion as you're breathing out. So we're going to breathe in on 3 and out on 3 to a s sound, and then breathe in for 3 again and out to a f, and then finally to a sh sound. So with me, breathe in for 3. Great. Now we're going to move on to some voiced sounds, and we're going to pulse the sound. So just repeat after me. Zzz. Your turn. Great, so now we're going to start putting some pitches in there. So to a v sound, starting on the A below middle C, if we could have a chord of A major, and we're going to slide up the 5th, so ready? Down onto the next note. That's fine. And now we're going to move on to sliding up to the 9th. So that's just over an octave. And you can do a rolled R, so r, or a lip trill, or a raspberry, which is where you stick your tongue out, like you're blowing a raspberry. Whatever you want. Anything to just focus on relaxing your jaw or your tongue, and try not to think about making a beautiful sound. You just want to be focusing on maintaining that flow of air. So again, we'll start on the A below middle C, and you continue through the exercise as high as you feel comfortable. So we'll be going. Next note. think we'll stop there. And finally, we'll just do, starting on an NG sound, so an sound, on an E flat. We're going to do our arpeggio to the fifth and then down the scale. And we're going to open up to different vowels. So we'll start with E, then we'll move up a semitone and do E, then up another semitone onto R, and then O, and then finishing on U. So I'll just demonstrate the first one. So we'll be going... and your turn. Hopefully you're feeling warmed up enough that we can carry on.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Emma. Lovely. As I say, let's turn to page 116 in the Prout or 127 in the novella score. Lift up your heads. Now, always a good idea to lift up your heads when you're singing, but not too high. And the other thing, in this one, it's all about the excitement, yes? And I need you to have this bubbling excitement throughout this, and with these dotted rhythms as well. We're always moving forward, but don't let the volume get out of control. Let's try this, please. Emma is not going to somehow do some sort of incredible split voice singing in here. So I've asked her for now to focus on the first soprano part, anticipating that many of you sopranos who might be joining us tonight might be singing along with the first anyway. But as we go through, we will look at the second as well. But yes, we couldn't get any more singers in here, not and be COVID safe. Okay, let's sing from the top. Actually, let's not. We'll sing through to letter C, and then we'll have a look at it in more detail. So from the top, here we go. To look at there before we go on to the next bit. So as you hear around me, this wonderful, wonderful energy that there is in the way that my colleagues are singing it here. Now, part of that is that they're not placing too much emphasis on the semiquavers. They're there, the words are audible, but it's not da, 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 da. Because as soon as we start doing that, we're in a tendency to pull it back and slow it down. So make sure we've always the ya, da, 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 da. There's always less emphasis on the 16th there. Another thing that you need to pay close attention to in this movement, it's one of those that has the biggest variance in additions. So the first thing that needs to be decided on is whether or not you're singing quavers or sixteenths in some areas, and you've got editorial markings. It's very clear in the new novello where there are the suggestions that it should be a dotted rhythm and not two equal quavers. So, for example, in bar 14, let's have a look what the Prout has. So this is on page 117, tenors and basses. If you're singing from the Prout, you have the line, well, first of all, you have different words. You have is the king, and it's is this king. It does give you the option in the Prout, but I think it's now accepted that this is the correct word in this text. And also in your part, tenors and basses, if you're singing from the Prout, you've got is the king of glory. You have 4 even quavers. Now, if you've got the novello score, you've got that little editorial marking, so the dotted continues. Who is this king of glory? Yeah, so that's dotted. I won't go through all of those, but they're just things to pay attention to if you are pulling out an old score, that you may have different editorial. To be fair to these editors like Prout, who did a very, very good job at the time, given the resources that were available in 1902. Since then, other versions of Messiah, it's the same Messiah by the same composer, but Handel made many different versions of this score as he performed them in different places. So the latest versions have compared more resources to come up with these editorial markings. And then there are other things that just aren't put in the score that we need to make decisions on. And one of the things that Emma and Martha did so beautifully on page 129 in the novello, or where is this? 119 in the Prout edition. The semi-chorus there, who is this king of glory? They started piano, then there was a mezzo-forte, and then there was a more forte entrance leading into the Lord of Hosts when the tenors and basses joined them at that point. It was lovely. Not marked in the score, but a really nice way to give shape to that, I think. Okay, let's go back and let's just take the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bars. Lift up your heads. Do please jump in with any comments. If you have any. Sopranos, and could you be a second soprano? Could we just do this sopranos? So Martha's going to be our second soprano. Let's just take the sopranos, please. Okay? 3, and.
Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lift up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in.
Lovely. Good. Now let's take the first soprano and the alto part. 3, and.
Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lift up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in.
Now, one of the things that altos you need to pay attention to is the fact that you're very much with the second sopranos rhythmically there, aren't you, at bar 9 there. So be making sure you're listening across to the second sopranos or where they're positioned, so we get ya-da-da, da-da-da, very much together. Okay, lovely. Now, so the semi-chorus angels have come in and are telling us to all lift up our heads, and the everlasting doors, the King of glory shall come in. But the men here are not quite sure who they're talking about yet. So, but you're excited. You're excited, so you need to keep this excitement coming here. So let's take the tenors and the basses with who is this King of glory? 3, and.
Who is this King of glory? This King of glory. Who is this King of glory? Who is this King of glory?
Lovely. So we'll come back to the response here in a moment. And this is one of those choruses that really shows how operatic Messiah is. You know, we really have a sort of scene here. We have a nice little chorus scene going on. And if we were to staging this, we'd probably have groups of chorus broken up all over the place and have the angels descending on some wonderful... I've got a whole image here of you guys descending with your wings on chariots and or what have you. But we need this to take place. Even if we're standing in rows in a choir, we need to be telling this story and giving this dramatic scene all the life we possibly can. So that was lovely. Lots of life there. Now let's respond to that, please. Let's have the sopranos. The Lord strong and mighty. 2, 3, and.
The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle.
Very nice. Let's have the alto and second soprano, if you wouldn't mind. Let's do that one. So this is the same pickup. 3, and.
The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle.
Super. Okay. Lift up your heads. Now the altos, tenors, and basses. This is 3, and.
Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lift up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. And the King of glory shall come in.
Lovely. Let's take the first and second sopranos in the next section, please. Who is? 3, 4.
Who is this King of glory? Who is this King of glory? Who is this King of glory?
So either you're like Dory in Finding Nemo and you've got the worst memory ever and you've now forgotten who the king is, or you're a separate group of people. And I think that's the case here again. If we were doing this on the stage, the sopranos and altos at this point would be a different group. So we now have a group of women who want to know what the good news is. So we've got to find a little bit of difference. You can't be exactly the same as you were in the opening when you were angels. Otherwise you look like very forgetful angels. So now think of yourselves as just mere mortals who want to know what the good news is. Let's take the first sopranos and the altos from that same bit. And let's do the wonderful step up of dynamics as well. 3, and.
Who is this King of glory? Who is this King of glory? Who is this King of glory?
Sorry. Cut you off in your prime, I apologise. That's mean of me to do that, to all of you. Let's take the next line though. I just wanted to stop there because now it's altos, tenors and basses. 3, and.
The Lord of hosts.
3, and.
The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. 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 The Lord of hosts is the King of glory. The Lord of hosts is the King of glory.
The Lord of hosts.
The Lord of hosts, He is the King of glory, of glory. He is the King of glory. He is the King of glory.
Lovely. So, gets a bit dense in the middle there, doesn't it, with all those lines going around. It's really, really important that we make sure that we keep this chorus as transparent as possible. But anytime we get fugal writing or any sort of polyphonic writing where lots of things are happening that are slightly different in each line. And the best way one of the best ways, I think, that you can make that happen is learning the other parts. So as you're going through this, don't just focus on learning your parts, but get to know the other parts as well. And this is a good time for me to plug core. Because if you use core, you can do just that. You can learn your line, say you're learning the tenor line, and then you can say, okay, well, I'm now going to bring in the alto line and learn it with the alto line or learn it with the sopranos. And, you know, it's a shameless plug for the app, but it is very, very true that it's one of the things that will make this transparent because you're listening to what other people are doing, and when you know what other people are doing, you can respond and be sympathetic to that. So let's take from the Lord of Hosts at D in the Novello score, which is, thankfully, the same letter in the the Prout score. So D, but I only want the sopranos and the tenors, please. And sing your part, but pay more attention to what the other part's doing. Okay, here we go. D, 3 and 1.
The Lord of hosts, he is the King of glory. The Lord of hosts, he is the King of glory, of glory.
Good, and the next bit's in unison, so we'll come to that in a moment. So I think it's lovely. I mean, it's really spine-tingling to be here in this room and have these wonderful voices around me and hear them listening to each other, shaping those lines, weaving them between each other's lines. It's just very, very nice. And you can do that in a large group too. Obviously, there's the challenge, isn't there? You've got to have some sort of consensus within the section. You can't have 40 sopranos all going off and being creative in their own independent ways. So there does have to be that as well. Okay, now let's take the altos and the basses, although we're not in for a while, but there we go. 1, 2, 3.
The Lord of hosts is the King of glory, of glory. The Lord of hosts,
The Lord of hosts, he is the King of glory, of glory.
And it's a great bass line. He may be late to the party, but when he arrives, he definitely brings a great spirit. Let's take everybody, please, from D. Everybody from D. Again, let's think about other people's lines, not your own. 3, 4, 1.
the Lord of hosts, he is the King of glory, The Lord of hosts,
The Lord of hosts, he is the King of glory, of glory. He is the King of glory. He is the King of glory.
the Lord of
The
hosts,
Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. He is the King of glory. He is the King of glory.
Good. Before we do the last page, I think one of the things that is so important about the warm-up, well, actually warm-ups that Emma and Martha have done in previous weeks, is that tongue work. When you, for words like hosts, if you haven't actually done some warming up and thinking about that, you've got no chance, have you? Let's just do that at the top of that page, 1, 3, 2. I just want you to hear that again. It says 1, 2, 2 for the Prout edition. So Lord of Hosts, and I want you to listen to how they are really precise with singing those words. 3 and 1.
The Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. He is the King of glory. He is the King of glory.
Lord of Hosts.
the Lord of hosts,
The Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts.
the Lord of hosts,
The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. The King of glory. He is the King of glory. He is the King of glory. Of glory.
Very nice. So the trick with hosts, well, one of them is just the length of the vowel, isn't it? You're filling it with as much vowel as possible, aren't you? And
Consonant on the beat. Yeah.
consonant on the beat. Yeah.
All three of them.
All three of them. Yeah. Yes, it could just be a single host. It had to be plural at that point, didn't it? Very nice. Going on. So, I haven't said Happy Thanksgiving. If we have, we probably haven't got any of our American friends with us tonight. They're probably off enjoying lots of turkey and other fine things. And mashed potatoes with marshmallows. Who was telling me who'd had that somewhere?
Yeah, sweet potato.
Sweet potato and marshmallows. I actually quite like the sound of that. I've got a very, very sweet tooth, though. Let all the angels of God. Let's have a sing of this one, because it's one of those ones that gets cut often. Here you go. Can I just have their start?
Oh,
Because
This would be nice.
yes. Sweet.
Let all the angels of God worship Him.
Let all the angels of God
Let all the angels of God worship Him.
Let all the angels of God
Let all the angels of God worship Him.
Let all the angels of God
Let all the angels of God let all the worship Him.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, so let's break that one up. Let's do it bit by bit. Let's go back to the beginning of that one. We'll get on the right page for this one. So 1, 2, 4. No, that's not the right page. Sorry for those of you with the proud tradition. I've just realised you don't have this one, do you? I was going to say, no, that's not the one. That's, yes, apologies. You'll have to listen in on this one. Let's take the bass line from the top of this one. 1, 2.
Let all the angels of God worship Him.
Tenor line. 1, 2.
Oh, sorry. Nearly there.
You're not on strike already. 1, 2.
Let all the angels of God worship Him.
Tenors and basses. 1, 2.
Let all the angels of God worship Him.
Altos. 1, 2.
Let all the angels of God worship Him.
Sopranos. 1, 2.
Let all the angels of God worship Him.
Everybody. 1, 2.
Let all the angels of God worship Him.
Fabulous. Okay, let's take the alto line next, please. We'll take this through to worship Him after A, the third bar after A. Okay? 1, 2, 3.
Let all the angels of God worship Him. Let all the angels of God worship Him.
Lovely. Let's take the soprano line, please, from the same bar, bar 5. 1, 2, 3.
Let all angels of God, let angels of God worship him.
Very nice. So you made that God quite short and took a massive breath there, didn't you? I mean,
I did. I think if I was singing with other people, I would go through there.
and I'm going
breathe
slightly
somewhere
under
else.
the tempo I would take it at if I was conducting
I would
a
breathe
performance.
somewhere else, but
Yeah.
because I'm on my own, I thought I'd sneak one in, so I didn't have
That's
to
fine.
breathe in a silly place.
No, I wasn't picking you up in a negative way,
Yeah.
but just to point out that, as I'm always saying to choirs, if you're going to take a breath, you've got to make the note preceding it shorter. You can't make it the same length, take a breath, and expect to come in the right place for the next note. Now, where would you normally breathe in that, do you think, if you were in a section? Just out of interest?
I mean, I'd probably keep going all the way until bar 8 and breathe somewhere at the beginning of that bar. But I mean, it just depends. You can breathe wherever, but it is much easier when you've got your whole section with you and you can stagger and agree with your neighbours where you're going to breathe.
And again, this is not, I mean, in the, I can't look at the Prout and see what he does because it's not there, but here we've got an editorial marking of F. There are almost no markings in Handel's score when it comes to dynamics. So again, but I feel this one doesn't need to be that loud either. So when you've got a nice big group of you, you can relax into this. Can we take the next entrance? Let all the angels sopranos, please. Yeah. This is after A, the second bar after A. 1, 2, 3.
Let all the angels of God worship him.
Lovely. So let's take the altos and sopranos back to bar 5, please. Okay? Altos and sopranos. 1, 2.
Let all the angels of God
Fabulous. Basses, please, from bar 7. And 1.
Let all the angels of God worship him. Let all the angels of God worship him.
Yep, very nice. Let's take the tenors, please, from your entrance at A. Okay. 3, 4.
Let all the angels of God worship him. Let all the angels of God worship him.
Good. Let's take everybody, please, those 2 pages. So, but from bar 5, everybody. 1, 2, 3.
Let all the angels of God
Let all the angels of God worship him.
Let all the angels of God
Let all the angels of God worship him.
Let all the angels of God
Let all the angels of God
It's always difficult with fugal writing to break things up into little places, but let's just do that for a moment. Let's take the bass line again from the bottom of page 135. Oh, keep looking at the Prout, but it's not there, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3.
Let all the angels of God worship him.
Lovely. Let's take the tenors, please, from your entrance at bar 19. Page 136. 3, 4. one.
Let all the angels of God worship him.
Lovely. I just want to get the little runs at least broken down for you. Let's take the altos from your entrance in bar 20. 1, 2, 3.
Let all the angels of God
Very nice.
worship
I'm sure you can do that one. Let's do the sopranos at B. 3, 4, 1.
Angels of God worship him.
Quite the line there. Lovely. Let's take the altos, please, from where I cut you off, at B. At B. So the third beat of B, which is where you worship him again. 1, 2.
Worship him. Worship him. Let all the angels of
Let's just take that
God
bit again. Let all the aim, because it jumps around a bit, that one, doesn't it? Altos from bar before C. Let all the aim. 1, 2, 3.
Let all the angels of God, let all the
Fun. Let's take the tenors, please, from B. So back to B. This is the tenors. And 1.
Let all the angels of God worship him. Let all the
Very nice. Let's take everybody, please, from alto. Let's start at bar 16, please. This is the end of phrases for sopranos and tenors. So don't worry, come in with the start of your next phrase. But altos and basses, could you start, please, at the end of bar 16? Let all. 1, 2, 3.
Let all the angels of God worship him.
Very nice. I came to a realization tonight with this Prout not having this score in. I lived in Canada for 20 years, and most of the messiahs I've conducted in my life, I've conducted in North America, where this chorus gets sung. And it's because, I presume, that the Prout edition didn't become the standard edition, which it did in this country for so many years, I guess.
Could be.
I mean, you're also Canadian, so did you grow up singing that?
I'd like to say I could remember, but I'm not sure. But that's a sort of reasonable assumption, probably.
Yeah, but certainly I've always done this chorus.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But over here, not so much. Yeah.
Definitely Boston Cup. Yeah.
Yeah. Super. Okay, let's get on to one that is in the Prout edition. Thank you for your patience if you weren't singing along, which is "The Lord Gave the Word," which is page 124 in the Prout, 146 in Novello. And I will just check, see if we've had any questions. I should be doing this more frequently. Nope. Okay, before we get into the rest of it, let's just do the first two bars, tenors and basses. So you've got to listen to each other, you've got to think about the rhythm and the words, and you've got to think about the pitch. So for starters, don't sing it too loud. Okay, here we go.
The Lord gave the word.
breathed and how in time it was. What else was going through your mind about preparing for that? Do you subdivide in your head? Are you thinking sixteenths? Are you thinking quarter notes? Are you thinking quavers?
I think of that the second the as being roughly on the beat, bizarrely, on the third beat, if that makes sense. So the Lord gave the word, almost on the third beat more than, I don't know if that makes sense, but other than that, just using the force to sing the same notes with a different part.
How did you get it together? Because it was so together. Can you actually articulate that, or is it just so ingrained now that you were?
Well, it's partly that, but I mean, listening to the breath as well, actually hearing the other person breathe really helps you come in together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, listening to the breath, so the breath needs to be rhythmic for that to happen. Okay, let's go back and try that, and please join us, sopranos and altos. We'll go on this time.
The Lord gave the word. Great was the company of the preachers. Great was the company of the preachers. Great was the company of the preachers.
The Lord gave the word.
Great was the company.
Fabulous. Okay, so I think that's worth breaking down just to hear all the wonderful things that are going on there, please. And hopefully, again, this is another one where you need to learn the other parts so that you know what you're singing around and you don't want to cover up. Now, obviously, semiquavers add an element of interest, but they also can add an element of confusion if they are not together within a section and if they don't have shape. Let's take the basses, please, from the third of B, top of 47. Anything you want to say about this?
Once I find it.
Once you find it.
Third of B, top.
Third of A, sorry.
Sorry,
third of A, top of page 147. Great was the company.
I mean, great is important. Was the not so important. Company. I mean, I think any of these Baroque sort of pieces that you have syllabic writing, you should be thinking about how you might speak it. I would say great was the company. So great and come is quite important. The smaller words, not so important. And then these runs are slightly slightly odd runs. They're not. I mean, they're maybe not. I guess they're runs, but in a way they seem more like vocalizations of
very slow trills.
Yeah, in a way, which is quite nice to sing. I think in a way, and it's a different sort of writing than some of the other choruses which have had a lot of semiquavers. You don't see something like that, for instance, in Bach very much. I find it amazing that Bach and Handel could be writing music at the same time, yet be so different in their approach to writing and how it's sung. I mean, it's so much nicer to sing Handel sometimes, or easier in a way, more vocal than what Bach writes, which is quite instrumental. So that, I think, it's almost like a warm-up, isn't it? I mean, it's quite nice in the voice.
It'll make a good warm-up. There we go. Can we do that for the warm-up?
Sure, for 10 minutes next time.
The other thing I would point out is that these dotted rhythms, these sixteenths, are not the same. They do not have the same energy as the Lord gave the word. So what Jonathan was talking about with almost putting it on the third beat would be highly inappropriate here. We need these sixteenths, these semiquavers, to fit in with the ya da 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 da. So you do need to make sure that happens. Okay, let's sing that, please, basses from 3 and.
Great was the company, the company, the company of the preachers.
Let's just do that much. Let's add the tenors to that, please. So 3 and.
Great was the company, the company, the company of the preachers.
And also that shaping at the end is lovely, that cadence, always making it slightly coming away from the penultimate note, yes, not landing with a crunch on the downbeat. Rest a moment, please, gentlemen. Let's take the altos, please, from the same place. 3 and...
Great was the company, the company, the company of the preachers, of the preachers.
We talked a couple of weeks ago about learning things and breaking them down into patterns, didn't we? And we really need to do that on this one to see which direction your pattern's going in. Yeah. Let's have the soprano line. 3 and...
Great was the company, the company, the company of the preachers.
Everybody. 3, 4.
Great was the company, of the preachers.
Let's do the same thing and build it upwards. So let's take the basses. Let's take the bass line right the way through to the end.
Okay.
1, 2.
Great was the company, the company, the company, the company, the company of the preachers, of the preachers.
I mean, it's a pretty obvious thing for me to say that you need to look at the shape of the music and dynamically maybe follow that, but it's true, isn't it? You need to, I mean, what I hear you doing is very clearly shaping the line towards the upper note or penny, and also it feels like you even take it away a little bit to make sure that shape is, you know, the dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's interesting doing it on its own. It's quite boring to sing that on your own, that line. It's quite nice to sing it with everybody else, which is all, the company is quite nice, you know. But it's interesting to do, because when you're singing with a lot of other voices, sometimes you can't hear what you're doing so much. And it's quite nice to be able to play with things a little bit and just try different things sometimes, just to, you know, keep the voice going and just find little shapes here and there which make it interesting for yourself, and then if everyone's doing that, then makes it interesting for a listener.
And do look up the score or down the score if you're a soprano, and look at what other people are doing in the line further away from what you're doing. For example, let's do the alto line, please, Martha. And then we'll do okay, 1 and...
Great was the company, the company, the company, the company, the company, the company of the preachers, of the preachers.
Somehow I feel there's an inside joke in this. Why, don't you? Handel had a sense of humour, I think. But can we try the altos and the basses, please, and just show how interesting it is if you look further afield to make your line match. 1 and...
Great was the company, the company, the company of the preachers, of the preachers.
Almost wonder whether it's like that term that's used in film for walla, if you know what walla is, which is just what's going on in the background in scenes where you've got maybe a restaurant scene and everybody else in the background is going walla 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 walla, and maybe this is the company of the preachers all going walla walla.
There's also that perhaps sermons were quite long in Handel's day, and they did go on a bit, possibly, and hence the
Yes, the sermon preaching going on. Let's take the tenors, please. Let's put a line in between the sermon. So from 1 and...
Great was the company of the preachers. Great was the company of the preachers. The company, the company, the company of the preachers, of the preachers.
Lovely. Let's take the soprano line, because the soprano line, rather like the alto and the basses in this one, have some similarities. So do the soprano and the tenor line. Let's see. 1 and.
Great was the company of the preachers. Great was the company of the preachers of the preachers. Great was the company of the preachers.
And I think also he really wants to emphasize the lines going through each other by having you sort of constantly dipping down beneath everybody else. It's sort of, it's all over the place. Stick the tenors and the sopranos, please. 1, 2.
Great was the company of the preachers. Great was the company of the preachers of the
Super. Everybody. 1.
Great was the company of the preachers. Great was the company of the preachers. Company of the preachers.
Lovely. Let's sing the whole of that chorus. It's a short one, and I think it's always fun to sing. Now, that very energetic first semiquaver, and make sure that when we get back into the more dense writing, that semiquaver is not rushed. Okay? From the top.
The Lord gave the word. Great was the company of the preachers. Great was the company of the preachers. Great was the company of the preachers.
The Lord gave the word.
Great was the company.
Lovely. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll take the percussion out of my pocket. I realise I'm jingling away there like it. Let's go on, please. Their sound is gone out, which is page 151 in the novello. And 129 in the Prout. Another short one, so let's sing it through before we make any comments on it. So here's your E flat sopranos. It's everybody's E flat, you all start on that.
Their sound is gone out.
Their sound is gone and their words unto the ends of the world. Unto the ends of the world. And their words unto the ends of the world. And their words unto the ends of the world. Their sound is gone out. Their sound is gone out.
Okay, so again, this is one of those complex polyphonic lines interweaving between each other. So listening to others, learning other parts, same thing happening there as in the other choruses like this. So that's the first thing. Can we take the sopranos and altos from your entrance at the top of 153, 131 in the Prout score, and really what I'd like you to pay attention to is listen to where Emma and Martha breathe, because there's some very big phrases there, and obviously, as we talked about before, you might do it differently when it's a section, but I think just listen to the breaths.
Which bar, sorry?
You're coming in at, or just wherever you're naturally breathing. I'm not, where are you coming in?
Yeah, where was
bar 21.
Okay, thanks.
Two before B. Yeah. So altos, you're coming in at bar 19. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
And their words unto the ends of the world, unto the ends of the world, their sound is gone out into all lands, and their words unto the ends of the world, and their words unto the ends of the world, and their words unto the ends of the world, unto the ends of the world.
Lovely. So I think it was really helpful to hear those clear position, rhythmic breaths, and you heard how Emma snatched a breath at bar 35, and I've also, when I've worked with choirs, we've also done that at the beginning of some places. Emma has the lung capacity to get all the way from and all the way through to that point, but if you can't, you could do it at the beginning of world there, just don't finish off the word. Any other comments?
Yeah, I tend to like to breathe in a not very obvious place in the phrase, and normally for the sopranos that's when it's lower down in your range, so
Yeah.
I would tend not to breathe if I'm sort of sitting up there on G's and A flats, because it would be much more obvious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you either go with the most sensible place, which is where the punctuation is. If you're doing it as a section, you want it to be easy to understand, don't you? But if you're trying to sneak one, then going in the least obvious place is sensible. Just check with your neighbour that you're not going to put a hole in it by going at the same place.
And if we're doing a longer section, maybe with runs, do you also try and think about the way I'm going to come back in needs to be somewhere where I can sneak it in rhythmically as well? So I think
Smoothly. And I think that I'd be inclined to take more time to take a proper breath than to snatch one that might be noisy and put other noise in that you don't want.
Yeah. Super. Well, thank you for doing that. Let's take the tenors and basses from A, please. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
And their words unto the ends of the world, unto the ends of the world,
And their words unto the ends of the world, and their words unto the end of the world.
their sound is gone out.
Their sound is gone out into all lands,
And their words unto the ends
and
of the
their words unto the ends of the world,
and their words
and their words unto the ends of the world, and their words unto the ends of the world, unto the ends of the world.
So there's a definite sense that your two parts are very related, aren't they? Sort of passing things around. You can even see it in the shape. You know, you're descending, and then you continue that descent, don't you? You're sort of passing over the. Shall we sing that one again from the top?
Simon,
Yes,
I was just
go
going
ahead.
to say, at A,
Yeah.
the tenor and soprano phrase there is a good example of what you're saying about paying attention to what the other parts are doing. And sometimes, for reasons such as this, where it seems like we're singing exactly the same line, but actually it's not the same, and the soprano's singing an E flat, and that catches people out a lot. So it's worth noticing the minor differences in what looks like it might be a repeat of someone else's.
Which is why I've got the E flats in the soprano part written in as a flat above, circled, and it's like, over and over. To remind yourself. Now, why do we take that line? Let's take the tenors and the sopranos from A. 1, 2.
And their words unto the ends of the world.
And their words unto the ends of the world.
Just slight difference there, yeah? But enough to throw you off if you're not paying attention. From the top of this one.
Their sound is gone out.
Their sound and their words unto the ends of the world. Unto the ends of the world. And their words unto the ends of the world. And their words unto the ends of the world. Their sound is gone out. Their sound is gone out into
Fabulous. Wonderful chorus, that one. Moving on, we'll have a rousing rendition of Wider the Nations, please. And, Let Us Break Their Bonds Asunder, which is your favourite one, isn't it, Emma? Actually, let's see if this is... It is in excellent, good. So let's... Yeah, let's just sing it, and then we can have a look at it again. So here's your G. 2, 3.
Let us break their bonds asunder. 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 And cast away. From us.
nice. And let me just say up front that if you were singing Let Us Cast Their Way, that was perfectly fine too. In fact, probably they would have sang cast in the 18th century rather than cast. But I think we've all settled on cast in this room and it sounded lovely. Let's talk about the psychology of this one, because I think that's one of the biggest challenges is going to be how to not tense up when you've got to come in on G's.
It's quite easy to panic in this one, I think, because the entries sort of appear to come out of nowhere. It doesn't be like, oh, what I mean, it's quite a scary one, I think. So definitely, of all the choruses, definitely one of the ones to spend a bit of time looking at.
And finding that G. So I mean, it's coming out directly out of the previous aria. So you need to find those places that you can really settle in and find that note well in advance, not try and pick it up from the tenors. I mean, there's a lot of pressure to just place on the tenors. I don't think that's very fair.
Yeah, not always up to it sometimes.
I think letter C is quite tricky as well, where the tenor starts and then the soprano comes in, and it's only a beat out, and it's quite easy to get sort of a bit stuck there and feel like you're wrong because you're just a beat out from the tenors.
Let us
Break their bonds.
Yes. Let us break their bonds. How should we do this one? Well, I think I'm going to focus on the tenors and sopranos for a bit, actually, because
Yay.
for all those reasons. So let us take that first. Can you just play the end of the aria? Just a few, maybe 3 bars or so. Just really to hear the chord progression.
Do you want me to sing it?
Oh, if you want to sing it.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go from?
Against the note, wasn't it?
Which one? Just go from like 86. That give a good run in. That way I won't get lost. He's on all.
Yeah.
Is an oh.
Is that right?
Yeah, of course. End of version 1. I was in version 2.
We're going to decide which version we're going to end here.
Stay with us. We'll
That's it. That's good for now.
Okay. Is an against the Lord and his anointed.
Now, don't do anything. Find that G. Here's your G. Okay, and here's the last chord, which is lots of E. And here's the minor third above. Yeah? We'll come back and do that again because that was a lot of fun. So let's go straight in from there. Let's take the tenor and the soprano. 2 and.
Let us break the bonds asunder. Let us break.
Good. Okay. Let's go back now and just give that chord before the E chord in Rachmaninoff style.
Let us break the bonds asunder. Let us break the bonds asunder.
Lovely. So that's the first task done. Let's go on, skip on to C. And that this again, the sopranos and the tenors. I just want to do this, the same entrance here, which Emma was talking about. So could you play 3 bars before C, please, William?
Yeah.
And this is just for the tenors and the sopranos. So going 3 bars before C. And then from that point onwards, it gets pulled far enough apart that it doesn't feel so unsettling, does it?
Just that first 2 bars is really like... Woo.
Yeah, just try that one more time.
You've got to stick to your guns.
Yeah, and enjoy it. Let's same again, please. 3 before C.
And cast away.
Lovely. Super. Okay, now let's go back to the beginning of this one again. Anybody got any general comments about this one? And any comments about the shapes of the runs? And
I was just going to say about the first note.
Okay.
It helps if you have the L ready and on the note. So don't kind of do the L and then scoop your way up to the G. Have the G in your head and think of the L on the note. Let. So it's right there, and that helps you kind of get in with a good kick at the start.
super. Let's go to A, please, and Cast Away, because this is where we have all those tricky little runs. So we take the tenors and the altos, please, from A. 1, 2, 3.
And cast away. Their yokes from us, and cast away their yokes from
And then it's
us.
the same. But what I really wanted you to hear in that is not only the lovely way in which they're shaping those descending runs, but when they come out of that, how quickly they locked into those rhythms. They're yoked from us, they're yoked from, they're ready for the next line. Can we take the sopranos and the basses that are, even though you're further apart, you've got 2 bars or 3 bars before your next entry, it is getting passed over, isn't it? From one to the other. So this is bar 15, sopranos and basses. 1, 2, and.
And cast away.
And cast away. And cast away the yokes from.
Good. So in between the basses and the tenors, sopranos passing that line across, you have that they're yoked from us and cast away in the altos and tenors, which needs to have its own very different identity to what's going on around them. Can we take it from there, from bar 15, please? Tenors and altos, they're yoked from us. And 1.
Their yokes from us, and cast away their yokes from us, and cast away, and cast away their yokes from us, and cast away their yokes from us. Let us
And now we're
break
back into letter. So let's go back now to that same bar, but with the sopranos and basses joining. So this is bar 15, right on the first beat. 3, and.
their yokes from us, and cast away their yokes from us, and cast away, and cast away their yokes from us, and cast away their yokes from us. Let us break the bonds asunder.
Break the bonds
Let us break the bonds asunder. Let us break the bonds asunder.
Break the bonds asunder.
Let us break the bonds asunder. Let us break the bonds asunder. Let us break the bonds asunder.
So I would say probably the trickiest bit aspect of that section from B is finding your notes after the rest, isn't it? And if I'm trying to work it out, I'm always trying to find notes from what other people are doing. So, for example, to find my note if I was singing the bass line, I'm listening and learning the fact that the soprano is heading towards a C. So I've got that in my head, and I've got G, D, E, B, and into the C there. The same goes the altos. You can take your first note, G, from the fact that, again, the sopranos go around an F sharp towards a G to help you find that. And is there anything that doesn't follow there that anybody else has a... Also make sure that you remember basses or any other section where the next entrance is the same note that you finished on. So at the bottom of that page, basses, you finish on an F, and then you start on an F again. That should be a fairly easy one to find if you keep that F in your head. Any other suggestions?
When you talked about markings, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, a good marking thing to do is if you've got an unexpected entry on the next page, like mark it in, do whatever you need to do, whether it's drawing a pair of glasses or something to say, make sure you know what's coming up. So for example, at the end of page 163, the sopranos end on an F, and then you turn over the page and suddenly you're up singing a G on Let Us Break Their Bonds, and you need to know it's coming or you won't get there, in time.
Yeah, and that's one of those, because it really is on the first page. That's one of the places where I would probably draw in the little line and put the G as well on the previous page, just to remind myself of that. Yeah, very good point. Page turns need to be planned. Okay. Let's take C to we'll do these little runs that come up there at C. So we did the sopranos, and well, let's do that again. Let's do the sopranos and the tenors at C, please. 1, 2, and.
And cast away, and cast away, and cast away the yokes from us, and cast away the yokes from us.
Very nice. Let's do the same thing with the altos and the basses, where you come in. Basses come in first at bar 38. 1, 2,
And cast away the yokes from us, and cast away the yokes from us.
very nice. Everybody, please, from C. 1, 2, and.
And cast away,
And cast away the yokes from us, and cast away the yokes from us.
let us
Let
break
us
them
bring
bonds
them
asunder.
Good, very good. You know what? I'm just looking at the time. We've been having so much fun, and we've almost used up our time. And I would like us to at least sing the Hallelujah chorus to finish tonight. So let's sing this one from the top, and then we'll go into the Hallelujah chorus. So let us break their bonds, and then the Hallelujah. 1, 2, and.
Let us break the bonds asunder. Let us
Let us break the bonds asunder.
Let us break the bonds.
Let us break the bonds asunder. Let us break the bonds asunder.
And cast away.
And cast away the yokes from
Let
us.
us break the bonds.
Break the bonds asunder. Let us break the bonds.
Let us break the
Let us break the bonds asunder.
break the bonds asunder. Let us break the bonds asunder.
Let us break the bonds
asunder. And cast away.
Cast away the yokes from us, and cast away the yokes from us. Let us bring the bonds and cast away. Cast away the yokes from us, and cast away the yokes. Let us break the bonds asunder, and cast away the yokes from us.
Turn over a couple of pages. Let's finish the evening with the Hallelujah chorus, shall we? Now, don't blast it out. Let's just, again, keep the same sort of energy that we had for that previous chorus in this one. Okay? Here we go. Enough said.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
Fabulous. What a great way to finish the evening. If we have time next week, maybe we'll come back to that. We can talk about different ways in which you've done it, because of all the choruses, this is the one that's probably had the most attention lavished on it ever. One thing I didn't say before we started tonight was, please, if you haven't already, please sign up for our mailing list by going to core.app and signing up there, so that we can send you information on the concerts that we're doing and future courses and other things that are happening. But for tonight, from everybody here, it's been a great pleasure doing this workshop for you tonight. Please stay safe, stay singing, and I look forward to seeing you at the next workshop.